You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Hello, campers. Grab your marshmallows and gather around the True Crime Campfire. We're your camp counselors. I'm Katie.
And I'm Whitney.
And we're here to tell you a true story that is way stranger than fiction. We're roasting murderers and marshmallows around the True Crime Campfire.
In the 1970s, in Missoula, Montana, there was a brief epidemic of unsolved violent murders that shocked the small city down to its roots. A dark rumor spread quickly. The deaths must be the work of some sinister satanic cult, secret rituals performed in the service of demonic powers. This was not the case. The murders were unconnected, the motives behind them having nothing to do with the big bad devil, except for one in which the killer proudly declared his occult allegiance to anyone who asked, but that was just a cover for overpowering violent fantasies that this weak, strange man would never try too hard to resist. After his first murder, he'd kill again and again. This is part 1 of Creep, serial killer Wayne Nance. So, campers, for this one, we're in Missoula, Montana, December 24th, 1984. As you might expect from Montana in the winter, it was a bitterly cold day. But there can be beauty in the cold, and as the wildlife photographer climbed the wooded slopes, he turned and saw the small city cradled on the valley floor, surrounded by deeply wooded hills, everything covered in snow and glowing beneath the overcast sky. The frozen river snaked through the scene like a mirrored ribbon. The wildlife photographer walked on, the air sharp as broken glass in his lungs. He stopped, his eye catching on something out of place, a long black object jutting out of the ground up ahead, which was only lightly covered in snow underneath the trees. It looked almost like a fallen branch, but not quite. He walked closer, but it wasn't until he was almost right on top of it that he realized what he was looking at. A naked human leg, jutting up out of the frozen ground at 45 degrees, blackened by the cold. He could clearly make out the knee, ankle, and foot. Suddenly scared, the photographer looked around, but he was utterly alone in the stillness of the winter forest. He took careful note of where the protruding leg was, beneath a big spruce about 100 yards along a dirt road, and then he hurried back to his car and went looking for a phone. The police were familiar with the general area where the leg had been found because the wide, grassy area just beneath it was a long-time make-out spot for local teenagers, although less so in the dead of winter. They found the spot easily, but removing the buried body would be more trouble. The ground was frozen rock hard. The picks and shovels they'd brought didn't get them anywhere. The officers put up a tent over the body, put a portable propane heater in there, and left it there for a day and a half. The heater helped, but not a whole lot. It took hammers and masonry chisels to get the body out of the ground. It belonged to a naked young woman whose skull had been fractured by 3 gunshot wounds, each one almost certainly fatal by itself. She'd been buried in a shallow grave. Most likely, animal activity had pulled one leg above the surface where it had frozen. She had no ID on her. The officer in charge of the investigation, Captain Weatherman, called her Debbie Deer Creek for the moment after a nearby stream. Her autopsy provided 2 features that could potentially identify the victim. She had perfect white teeth with no fillings at all, but one incisor was slightly rotated. That was distinctive. So was her hair, which had 2 layers of dye over its natural light brown, first a darker brown and then auburn. If similar hairs were found somewhere else, they could be matched with a reasonable degree of confidence. The autopsy also told investigators approximately how long Debbie had been in the ground: 3 months. There were no local missing persons matching her description, and detectives thought she might have come from out of state. They were right about that, but Debbie Deer Creek's real identity wouldn't be known until decades later, in 2006. Her death coincided with the time when the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, was active, and as part of his plea deal, Ridgway had to help investigators find the bodies of his victims. To try and identify one of these bodies, Seattle detectives looked into unsolved missing persons cases involving people of approximately the same height and age, which brought them to the mother of Marcy Bachman, who had run away from a volatile home in Vancouver, Washington, when she was 16 years old. They got a DNA sample from Marcy's mom. It didn't match the Green River case, but they put the results into a national database, and when Missoula detectives later added DNA extracted from the Deer Creek victim's femur, they got a match. We don't know a whole lot about why Marcy ran away. We don't know where she was for most of the year, but one night in late August, a big rig pulled up to a stop in the parking lot of Tabor's truck stop in East Missoula, and the driver yelled at Marcy to get out. I guess she'd been hitchhiking, and the driver asked her for something she wasn't willing to give. The truck growled away, and Marcy was left alone in a town she didn't know, pulling a threadbare trench coat tied around her as a shield against the chill of a Rocky Mountain summer.
East Missoula was a small, hard-scrabble town of mostly trailer homes, squeezed between the highway and the interstate. The truck stop restaurant behind her was closed. Across the street was the Reno Inn, but that seemed a little too neat and clean for a teenage runaway who had maybe a couple of dollars to her name. Just down the street was the Cabin, a scruffy, dimly lit western joint that seemed a little more promising. There was a bouncer at the door, a short, muscular young guy with glasses and red hair, wearing a Star Wars t-shirt that he'd cut the sleeves off of. His name was Wayne Nance, and he gave Marcy a big smile as she got close. He was sympathetic when Marcy told him a trucker had just kicked her out, not only let her into the bar, but came in with her and bought her a beer. Marcy had been traveling under the name Robin, and that was the name she gave Wayne as he sat down beside her at the bar and got to know her. It was clear that Marcy had nowhere to stay, so Wayne said she could stay at his place. Marcy was pretty cute, so on the surface there was nothing unusual about any of that, just a skeezy guy trying to take advantage of a vulnerable young woman. It was her vulnerability that made her attractive to Wayne, but not because it might make it easier to get her into bed. She was alone, a stranger in town. Nobody would kick up a fuss if she went missing. By this point, Wayne Nance was already a murderer with multiple victims in his past. One person who took note of Wayne and Marcy leaving together was the bartender at the Cabin, Julie Slocum. She'd been a good friend of Wayne's for years and had a crush on him, but he'd shown zero romantic interest in her. He was always complaining that he ended up with fat broads, and as Julie had a kind of Zaftig figure, she figured that was why he wasn't into her. But this new girl, Marcy, was curvy too, and Wayne was asking her home after just meeting her. Wayne never asked girls over to his place. It drove Julie kind of nuts. She liked Wayne because he was sweet and thoughtful. He'd scrape ice from the windshields of everyone at work. He'd always remember her birthday and give her a card and a present, same on Valentine's Day. Sometimes he'd show up with flowers for her for no reason at all. This was how Wayne was with the women in his life, solicitous and helpful, always there to lend a hand if they needed one. Wayne's house was actually his dad's house. George Nance was a long-haul trucker and currently out of town. If he hadn't been, Wayne might not have brought Marcy home because his dad kept him on a pretty tight leash, which Wayne apparently enjoyed. He had a weird hero worship attitude toward his dad, who was an old-school blue-collar tough guy who'd done time for armed robbery. If George told Wayne to jump, Wayne would ask how high. If he was having fun at a party and heard his dad was back in town, he'd run straight home to see him. Wayne's mom, Charlene, had been a waitress who was maybe too fond of a bottle of bourbon and could go from 0 to yelling in half a second. If George was out of town and Wayne was out later than he was supposed to be, Charlene would lie in wait for him to come sneaking back in and start whacking him on the head with a baseball bat. Something that continued well into Wayne's 20s.
Holy shit. I used to be scared to miss curfew because my mom might give me a look, and then my dad might give me the same look. And it was like the worst thing in the world. Jeez and crackers. Wayne's bedroom was ridiculous. The window was blacked out with a sheet of dark plastic. He'd had a brief stint in the Navy that we'll touch on later, which, if nothing else, had taught him to make his bed without a single wrinkle on it. Everything else, as weird as it was carefully ordered. He'd told Julie one time, everything has a place and a place for everything. Knives and daggers were carefully lined up on a desktop and in the drawers, some bought, some made by Wayne himself. Swords and maces hung from the walls, along with a club Wayne had made and hammered nails into. Wayne liked pointy things, and they didn't have to be man-made. He also had a collection of birds' feet and claws of all kinds.
Can we add, loose, sharp object collection to our list of glaring red flags? I think it's probably fine to collect knives and swords. The Master Sword is on my list of my wish list, but just leaving them out in the fresh air is probably one of those McDonald triad thingies.
And the club with the nails in it. It's like, damn, dude. And then bird feet and claws on top of that. So just you walk in and just every surface is covered in something that could kill you. It's just, okay, man, we get it. Jesus. You're badass. A telescope he'd stolen from the Navy sat beside a set of weights and stacks of Playboy and Penthouse magazines. On the walls were posters of Schwarzenegger as Conan the Barbarian and Stallone as Rambo. Not that unusual for a teenage boy in 1984, but Wayne was 29 years old. On strings across the ceiling hung a metallic constellation of pull tabs from beer and soda cans. One wall was almost entirely taken up by shelves of cassette tapes. His bookshelves apparently held every book he'd ever read, going all the way back to elementary school, but they were dominated by books on Satanism and the occult, as well as Viking history and mythology. Nerd! In his drawers, along with his knives, he kept a collection of fake police badges. Is it me, or is this guy basically Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Right down to the cut-off sleeves. I bet he's giving ocular pat-downs to everybody who comes into the bar. It's just so funny. Although I guess Mac was more Catholic than Satanist, but whatever. He also collected maps he'd drawn himself, some of Missoula and nearby trailer parks. He also drew detailed layouts of his friends' homes, and not only his friends. Wayne's day job was in the warehouse of Conlon's furniture store, where he also helped with deliveries. Most houses he delivered to, he'd pay attention when he was inside and make maps of them later on. I'd say that's a red flag. Yeah? Oh boy. Other than a few exceptions, the Navy stuff, the cassette tapes, the modern posters, Wayne's room was more or less the same as it was when he was in high school, which included the green rubber sheets on the bed. His dad would later claim these were for a skin condition Wayne suffered from. Now, I am obviously not a dermatologist, but I'm skeptical. I think there's a pretty good chance that this skin condition was one called I wet the bed a lot. When George Nance came home on that summer evening and found that Wayne had moved a girl in, Marcy, he apparently took it in stride. Hey, Dad, a girl lives here now. She slept in Wayne's room and did the housework, and George bought her some new clothes in exchange. The fact that she was only 16 years old doesn't seem to have caused him any concern at all. At the warehouse, Wayne bragged about how insatiable Marcy was and how much sex he was having, which none of the guys there took seriously. Wayne was no one's idea of a ladies' man, awkward and shy around women he found attractive. He was only really comfortable around women who were older than he was, like most of the ladies who worked in sales and admin at Conlon's, or much younger like Marcy. He showed the warehouse guys pictures he and Marcy had taken in a photo booth together, but he never brought her over to meet them. Wayne didn't take Marcy out or introduce her to anybody, partly because he didn't want to get spotted by his actual girlfriend, Joni Delcomte. Joni was 18 and had just graduated from high school, and Wayne was kind of a storybook boyfriend. Every time he came over, he brought flowers. A talented artist, he painted pictures just for her. They had picnics beside clear mountain streams in the woods. And one night in August, alone in Joni's house while her mom was out, they had sex for the first and only time. Despite all his bragging in the warehouse, Wayne was not a love machine. The sex was over almost immediately, and right afterward, Wayne got up and started getting dressed, obviously embarrassed and not looking Joni in the eye. He just said, "Good night," and walked out. Summer's coming, campers, one of my favorite times of year, and if you're like me, it's a perfect time to spice up your wardrobe. When it's hot out, I want light fabrics, better materials, clothes that just feel good the minute you put them on and make me look put together without even trying. And that's why I keep coming back to Quince. They focus on high-quality essentials, organic cotton, washable silk, without the luxury markup. Quince has beautiful everyday pieces, like 100% European linen pants, dresses, and tops with styles starting at $32. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup. And it's not just clothes. Quince has really become a destination for elevated essentials across the board. Home, kitchen, bedding, jewelry. I love this gorgeous throw blanket I bought from them last year. And lately, I've been wearing the Fit and Flare Tencel dress constantly, like embarrassingly constantly. I wear this dress all the time. It's one of those perfect dresses where you end up buying it in like 3 different colors, and it has pockets, y'all. That's the dream. So how about we elevate our summer wardrobe? Go to quince.com/campfire for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/campfire for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com.
My tap water tastes disgusting. I have hard water, which means that if I want pure, drinkable water, my choices are limited. Faucet filters really don't remove contaminants. Water bottles are wasteful, and hello, microplastics, or I have to lug around heavy 5-gallon jugs up my apartment stairs every week. But then came along AquaTrue, the countertop water purifier tested and certified to remove 84 contaminants, including chlorine, lead, forever chemicals, and microplastics. Its patented 4-stage reverse osmosis system goes way beyond ordinary filters for pure, healthy water you can trust. No plumbing, no installation. AquaTrue has been featured in Business Insider, Popular Science, and named Best Countertop Water Filter by Good Housekeeping. Join 98% of customers who say their drinking water is cleaner, safer, and healthier, and it is delicious water. Head to AquaTrue now and get 20% off your purifier using promo code CAMPFIRE. That's aquatrue.com, AQUATRU.com, promo code CAMPFIRE. AquaTrue even comes with a 30-day best-tasting water guarantee or your money back. Take the guesswork out of pure, great-tasting water with this exclusive podcast-only offer now at aquatrue.com using promo code CAMPFIRE.
A couple weeks later, in early September, and with Marcy now ensconced in his adolescent bedroom, Wayne sat with Joni in the backyard of her mom's house. She knew a breakup was coming. Wayne fake blubbered his way through the words, "I'm getting too serious about you. I don't like how I feel when you aren't with me. I'm not the type to have a family, and I don't like being so serious about somebody. We have to break up. It's the old, it's not you, it's me. I don't deserve you," all of that BS. Joni had decided to play it cool and was like, okay. Which made Wayne mad, although he hid it at the time. He just bitched later on about how Joni seemed completely unaffected. Like, I threw her away as if she was a used tissue and she wasn't even upset about it. What the hell? She probably got to look at those rubber sheets, Wayne, honey. I mean, if I had to guess.
Also, like, you never beg for him back once they broke up with you. Come on. Like, she has some dignity, Wayne. Like, if Wayne was replacing Joni with Marcy, any kind of domestic bliss didn't last long. He and Marcy went to Julie Slocum's birthday party on the night of September 28th. That was the last time anyone except Wayne saw her alive. A few days later, Wayne was in a sullen mood at the furniture warehouse. He was always moody, and most of the guys steered clear when he was extra gloomy, but one of them poked him. "Hey, what's the matter? Didn't you get any last night?" Wayne didn't even look up. "She's gone," he said. He said Marcy had run off with a trucker, but later that same day he changed the story, saying he'd taken her to the bus station and put her on a bus out of town. He told the same story to Julie when she asked where Marcy was. What had actually happened was that Wayne had driven her out to the woods, maybe for one of his romantic picnics, then made her strip naked at gunpoint beside the shallow grave he'd already dug.
Ugh.
Then he shot her 3 times, once in the back of the head and twice in the temple, and buried her.
When they pre-dig the grave, that is a detail that every time it comes up in a case, it just gives me just full body, ugh, it's so creepy. Just the thought of him out there in the woods alone, digging.
Yeah.
And her knowing nothing about it, back home, just, oh my God.
And I can't imagine her seeing the grave.
Oh my God.
Being brought out there.
Yeah.
It's just nauseating.
Nightmare. Yeah.
It's not necessarily helpful to try and figure out motive when you're talking about killers like Wayne Nance. He killed because he liked it, because it satisfied some deep down urge. He'd probably been planning to murder Marcy ever since he first laid eyes on her, the day she approached the door of the cabin. And this wasn't his first time. Marcy was at least the 3rd woman he'd killed, and it's very likely that the count is higher than that. In the new year, Julie Slocum was at home with her new boyfriend when a Crime Stoppers report from the sheriff's department came on the TV about the body recently found in the woods. A young white woman whose hair had been permed and dyed auburn. Julie felt her heart go cold. "God, that's that girl Robin," she said. But what her unconscious mind really sprang toward was, it's Wayne. He did this. But as we tend to do, she immediately started convincing herself that that was crazy. Wayne was one of her best friends, had been for years. Of course he wasn't the killer. Julie went ahead and called Crime Stoppers just to try and find out if the body the police found really did match Marcy, the girl Julie had known as Robin. As will become the common theme in the story, the detective she spoke to completely biffed the conversation.
Oh, man.
The police were limiting the information they shared about the crime, which is understandable, but the cop Julie spoke to somehow managed to convince her that the body they dug up in Deer Creek was nothing at all like Marcy.
Oh, my Lord.
I know. After the call, Julie was relieved and felt bad for ever thinking Wayne could be involved in the crime. No, ma'am. The person that matches the description of the body is not the body. Like, what do you mean? This was a missed opportunity big time because plenty of the cops in Missoula remembered the name Wayne Nance from when he'd been the suspect in a horrific murder 11 years previously. Wayne had been 18 years old and still in high school, a weird, creepy kid with ghost pale skin and a shock of bright red hair. He was smart, but the only class he excelled at was art, a talent he mainly used to draw violent scenes with swords and monsters. And that's not unusual subject matter for boys, but Wayne had been drawing the same stuff since before he was a teenager, getting more and more technically skilled, but not more curious.
He wasn't a troublemaker at school, but he liked making people uncomfortable. He'd twisted a piece of wire into a pentagram, heated it up, and branded himself on the arm. Then he proudly walked around showing it off to people at school, even after it got all infected and pussy. Ugh, freaking dork. He wore a plastic shrunken head around his neck on a rawhide string and always had a big hunting knife hidden somewhere. He claimed to be a Satanist, but like almost everybody who makes that claim, this was mainly just edgelord bullshit to shock people. Ooh, look at me, I'm scary, I worship the devil. He probably went out into the woods at night and said some weird shit to get the thrill of being a very naughty boy and all, but he soon ditched the devil in favor of a new obsession with Norse mythology and history. This was a better fit with his fascination with swords and knives and Conan the Barbarian and all that stuff. Shame he went ahead and branded himself over what turned out to just be a passing whim, but oh well. Dumbass. As we'll find out, that was the least of his worries. The teenagers who spent more time with Wayne saw enough to be scared of him. He and his classmate Bill Van Canagan both got after-school jobs at Taco John's restaurant across the street from their high school. One of Wayne's few friends at school was a loser named Dale Nicholson, who was already married after getting his girlfriend pregnant, and who always had a .22 pistol and a pint flask of gin hidden in his pockets. These are high school kids, Lord have mercy. One night, Nicholson showed up to the restaurant drunk, pulled Bill out of there, and started shooting up the place, firing at the chicken broaster, the lights outside, and the plate glass window. Bill started to think Nicholson could kill someone, and Wayne was getting even more intense and creepy. "I had this dream," Wayne told Bill one day. "I was visited by a spiritual entity. It was a queen. She was from the dark side, and she told me, gave me specific instruction on how I could become a warlock. This was a gift from the queen. I obtained it on instruction from the queen." And he pulled out a cheap pentagram medallion he was wearing around his neck. "This is stupid, Wayne," Bill said. "I'm Team Bill." "No," Wayne insisted. "I have been ordained a third-degree witch. My goal is to become a warlock. I'm moving up in the ranks. I'm in a coven."
I mean, third degree. He skipped over first and second degree. They saw the talent in him.
Obviously. I'm sure it won't surprise anyone to hear that Wayne was not in a coven. That would require people being willing to spend time with him. He was just an obsessive nerd who enjoyed giving people the wiggins. In the fall of their senior year, he bragged to Bill about how he and Dale Nicholson had given the homecoming floats a Viking funeral by setting them on fire, which Bill thought was bullshit until he read in the paper that the floats had in fact been set on fire. The would-be arsonists were incompetent, though, so hardly any damage was done. But I'm sure some of you who are familiar with serial killers have noticed that Wayne was possibly a bedwetting fire starter. These are two corners of the famous McDonald triad, which some experts consider to be predictive of future violent behavior. Now, McDonald is controversial now, but the third pillar of the triad, cruelty to animals, is still widely considered a predictor of violent tendencies. Ever since elementary school, Wayne's classmates had heard him brag about abusing and killing animals, although there wasn't any evidence of his actually doing it. Psychologically, it's bad enough that a kid that young would think that was something to flex about. Given the nature of Wayne's crimes, I think there probably was animal abuse in his past, although the only actual reports of it came out after he was already notorious and have to be taken with a grain of salt. Like, a deputy said he'd once seen a teenage Wayne naked under a bridge, masturbating over a bloody altar surrounded by the bodies of animals he'd slaughtered. And, I'm not trying to be a skeptic or anything, but I just don't know if that passes the smell test for me. Not because Wayne wasn't enough of a dork to do something like that, he absolutely was, but the deputy apparently saw this, thought, "Oh, there's something you don't see every day," and just went about his business. Now, I've never lived in Montana, so I might be off base here, but I don't get the impression that it's a state with a real relaxed attitude toward naked teenagers jerking off in public over satanic altars. So if it had happened, I think the cop would have brought him in. And, he didn't. So, nice try, officer. Good story for the pub, but shut the hell up. People always do this after serial killers get arrested. Everybody comes out of the woodwork like, "Oh, I knew him and he was blah, 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 blah." No, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to Montana a couple of times, and that's something that would make the front page news for weeks.
Well, yeah, there's like 7 people in the whole state. You know what I mean? Like, somebody would have noticed.
There's 7 people, and 3 of them know or are related to Jeffree Star. So, like, yeah, we know that they wouldn't be talking about it. Because God knows they need to stop talking about Jeffree Star and a stupid cattle farm. And also, like, Wayne Nance was 100% the type of person that he is enough of a dork to do this, but he would also not do that type of thing without a witness, I don't think.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he'd want somebody to see him do it, for sure.
Yeah. No No animal slaughter and subsequent masturbation without.
Now, Jeffree Star, I could see, absolutely. I could see, he probably does that shit on the regular. Like, it's probably just a Tuesday
Allegedly.
for Jeffree.
No, allegedly. No.
Obviously.
Don't sue us, Mr.
It's a
Mr.
joke,
Star.
you freaking alien weirdo. Please don't sue us.
On top of his usual black magic nonsense, Wayne started telling people that he was determined to kill someone before his 19th birthday. Wayne's actual birthday was October 18th, but he'd long ago decided to tell people it was on Halloween instead.
Oh my God, he's such a douchebag. It sucks that people like this, like, they're such dweebs, and yet they're so scary at the same time. It just, those two things don't go together. It's so strange.
And they're not scary because of these things. That's what kills
hell
me.
No.
Is like,
This is the douchebag part. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I'm sorry, little kids are out walking around dressed like Dora the Explorer, getting Snickers. It's hardly a night of terror and the supernatural, but
He probably called it Samhain or All Hallows Eve or something like that.
Oh my God, he 100% did. He was really upset that kids were out dressed like Frankenstein. He was really mad that like there were little Iron Men and Batman running outside. But, you know, anything that upset him I'm a big fan of. That's all I have to say. But I guess in his head, his birthday that gave some semi-occulty reasoning to his promise to murder someone before then. But we should be clear about what was going on here. Wayne wanted to kill someone because he was a psychopath who had increasingly detailed violent sexual fantasies. Whatever occult weirdness he happened to be into at any given time didn't affect that. And his actual crimes didn't include any ritualistic elements, only his own signatures. Wayne started telling people he was going to kill someone months before he actually did. An extremely generous interpretation might be that he knew his fantasies were getting out of hand and this was as close as he could get to asking for help, but I don't think that was what was going on. I think Wayne ran his mouth because he didn't consider other people to be fully real and capable of action. And no one took him seriously because Wayne had been saying weird, dark things since he was just a little kid. Mm-hmm. But he was deadly serious about this. Wayne was friends with a kid named Kenny Pounds, who had already left school to join the army. Kenny's dad, Harvey, was a shoe salesman and a fundamentalist preacher with his own radio show, and his mom, Donna, worked part-time at a Christian bookstore. In addition to Kenny, they had two daughters, Kathy, who was 12, and Karen, who was 20 and still stayed at home. Wayne had been a frequent visitor at their house for years. Because he was largely incapable of having an unexpressed thought, most people who knew him knew that he absolutely hated Karen Pounds. It's not clear why. Karen was pretty and maybe Wayne had made a move on her and been shot down. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he just hated her because she was beautiful and bright and his own life was a grim swamp full of slugs and eels.
Edgelord frogs.
Yeah.
That's what he is, an edgelord frog.
He is an edgelord frog. That actually describes him to a T. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at a picture of him, think edgelord frog and it'll click.
Yeah.
Starting or growing your own business can be intimidating and lonely at times. Your to-do list may feel endless with new tasks, and lists can easily begin to overrun your life. So finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything as a built-in business partner can be a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Gymshark, Rare Beauty, and Heinz, to brands just getting started. Shopify has hundreds of ready-to-use templates that can help you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand's style. And you can tackle all the important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. No need to save multiple websites or try to figure out what platform is hosting the tool that you need. And if people haven't heard about your brand, you can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you, with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns to reach customers wherever they're scrolling or strolling. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. That's shopify.com/realm.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
On March 30th, Donna Pounds had been riding along with a friend as the friend made some Avon deliveries and got dropped off at home around 1:30 p.m. Kathy was at school and Harvey and Karen were both still at work. As Donna walked into the master bedroom, Wayne Nance, a boy she'd known for years, stepped forward and pointed a gun at her. He was wearing rubber gloves. The gun was Harvey's, a .22 caliber imitation Luger that he kept in a hidden drawer in a bedroom cabinet. Kenny Pounds had shown Wayne the hidden drawer long ago, and the two boys had taken the gun into the woods to shoot it.
Oh, my Lord.
Wayne fired the Luger once into the corner of the room to make sure she knew he wasn't playing around, then made her get on the bed and take off her pants. He brought a black gym bag with him and took out some white clothesline, which he used to tie Donna's wrists and ankles onto the bedposts.
Oh, my God.
He took out a knife and cut off Donna's underwear, then tossed her maxi pad onto the floor and raped her.
Afterwards, he untied her, then tied her wrists together and forced her down to the unfinished basement. There, he made Donna get down on her knees, tied her ankles together, and gagged her with duct tape. And from behind, like a coward he was, he shot her 5 times in the back of the head. Donna's body fell forward. Wayne shoved the gun between her legs, then left, turning off the basement light as he did. Harvey Pounds found his wife's body when he got home from work at around 6 p.m. and immediately called the police. As hard as it is to believe, the horrifying scene he discovered could have been worse. In both Kathy and Karen's bedrooms, Wayne had tied lengths of clothesline to the bedposts so he could restrain them more quickly, but while he waited for them to come home, he'd either gotten cold feet or just bored and left. He'd discarded the rubber gloves as he walked home, one of which was found. This case should have been solved. A neighbor said she'd seen Wayne Nance in the Pounds' backyard that day. Another neighbor saw someone who matched Wayne's description walking around the neighborhood with a black gym bag. When police searched Wayne's bedroom days later, they found a pair of underpants with a large stain on the front, blood from Donna Pounds' period. The underwear had clearly been washed, and Wayne's mom Charlene volunteered that she'd been the one who washed them. Apparently, she'd had no questions about her son's Y-fronts showing up in the laundry basket covered in blood. In a black gym bag in Wayne's room, the cops found .22 caliber bullets and shell casings. They'd also found a single pubic hair on top of the bloodstain on the Pounds sheets, but that wouldn't be any help to them. Instead of paying to send it to a trained forensic pathologist in Great Falls, the county attorney had let a local guy handle the examination and cataloging of the hair, and he'd just lost it. And the day after the murder, when Bill Van Kanagan got to school, Wayne was sitting on a concrete block overlooking the parking lot, pretending to be in a trance like he sometimes did. As Bill walked past, Wayne said, "It's been done," all dramatic like that. "What are you talking about?" Bill said. "It has been done," Wayne said again, and showed Bill the pentagram on his arm, weeping with pus. Then he started cackling like a maniac, and Bill just hurried on to class. And that creepy little story, by the way, comes from our main source for this episode, the book To Kill and Kill Again by John Costin, who interviewed Bill. So all this evidence let the police zero in on their number one suspect, Donna's husband, Harvey.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess we should point out, like, DNA evidence wasn't a thing. Like, we know that was Donna's blood. We know now, but they, couldn't prove that back then. To be a little more fair to the Missoula investigators than they probably deserve, Harvey Pounds looked a lot like other killers we've covered. He was having either an affair or something close to it with one of his parishioners, and his hardline religious beliefs made divorcing Donna pretty much impossible. He'd been on a 45-minute lunch break when Donna was killed, plenty of time in a small city like Missoula to drive home and kill her. After the murder, Harvey started spreading rumors that there had been satanic elements to the murder, and that the killer had used the clothesline to draw a peace sign on the floor, which I guess to him was just as bad as Satanism. And Harvey Pounds didn't seem shaken up at all by his wife's death, just went on with life and was matter-of-fact about the whole thing. Now, this is the kind of thing we're talking about when we say people react to death in different ways. Harvey Pounds was innocent, but you wouldn't know it. The sheriff kept pestering the county attorney for a warrant to bring Harvey in because he was sure he could get a confession out of him. And maybe he was right, because getting a confession is a very different thing than proving guilt. They certainly weren't going to get one from Wayne, who sat through his police interviews with dead-eyed calm. Harvey and Wayne were both given polygraphs. Harvey's was inconclusive. Wayne's showed he was telling the truth. Yeah, there's a reason those things aren't admissible in court. Wayne's blood-stained underpants were sent to the FBI for analysis, but Charlene had done a thorough job washing them and the technicians couldn't get a blood type from the stains. The lone rubber glove found near the crime scene didn't provide any fingerprints, and the pubic hair from the scene had vanished. No one was charged with Donna Pounds' murder, and right after he graduated high school, Wayne joined the Navy and left town, having gotten away with murder.
He left behind a city that was working itself into a panic about the devil. Donna Pounds' death came between two other violent unsolved murders. Earlier in 1984, in February, a 5-year-old girl named Siobhan McGinnis had been abducted, sexually assaulted, stabbed, and left to die in the cold beside a country road. The year after Donna's death, a special education teacher, Verna Cavalli, was found naked and dead in her apartment bedroom. She'd been sexually assaulted and stabbed in the chest with a butcher's knife, which was still buried hilt deep in her body when she was found. No arrests were made in all 3 murders, and with the help of Harvey Pounds, rumor spread that all 3 victims had been killed by a hidden satanic cult operating in the area. Satanic panic wouldn't take off nationally until the 1980s, but there had always been local pockets like this, not helped at all by the front-page story in the Missoulian newspaper about the rumors, which referenced other cult murders around the country, but had a typo that dropped the R from country, so it read around the county instead. There was no murderous satanic cult. The 3 murders were unconnected. In 2020, Genetic Genealogy identified Siobhan's killer as Richard William Davis, a man who was never suspected or convicted of any violent crime and who had been passing through Montana when he killed her. He'd later become a born-again Christian and lived with his wife in rural Arkansas, where, terrifyingly, he was a volunteer for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America.
Oh my God.
He died in 2012, 8 years before his crimes came to light. And Verna Cavalli's murder was solved in 2006 when cold case detectives obtained a DNA sample from Neil Morris, a funeral director and former boyfriend of Verna. The day after he provided the sample, Morris went out into the parking lot of Garden City Funeral Home in Missoula, put a sawed-off shotgun in his mouth, and killed himself.
Jesus.
And Donna Pounds, of course, had been killed by Wayne Nance. She was almost certainly the first person he had killed, but she absolutely was not the last. We'll cover Wayne's later crimes as well as his own bad end in next week's episode. So we're going to leave it there for part 1, campers. But before we go, don't forget about our 2 amazing live shows coming up. First, we've got Summer Camp, September 10th through the 13th, an amazing 4-day festival in Equinunk, Pennsylvania, hosted by Dan and Lindsay Cummins of Time Suck and Scared to Death. We'll be performing live alongside them and the podcast Astonishing Legends, in addition to an amazing roster of awesome stand-up comedians and local bands. Go to badmagicproductions.com for more info and to buy tickets. Then we've got our true crime cruise, Crime Wave 2.0, February 8th through the 12th, 2027. If you want to come on vacation with us and some of the biggest true crime and paranormal podcasts in the world, like Case File, True Crime Garage, and Scared to Death, here's what you got to do. Tickets are on sale now, but they are 90% sold out at this point. So if you want to go, make sure you go over to crimewaveatsea.com/campfire and book your cabin ASAP. You'll get $100 off plus a private meet and greet with us. The great thing is you can pay all at once or set up a payment plan and pay it off over time. So get on it right now. That's crimewaveatsea/campfire.
So that was a wild one, right, campers? You know we'll have part 2 for you next week. You guys are getting two-parters in a row. You're welcome. But for now, lock your doors, light your lights, and stay safe until we get together again around the True Crime Campfire. And as always, we want to send a grateful shout out to a few of our lovely Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to Sarah, Caroline, Dustin, Anna, V, Perry, and Ross. We appreciate y'all to the moon and back. And if you're not yet a patron, you're missing out. Patrons of our show get every episode ad-free, at least a day early, sometimes more, plus tons of extra content, patrons-only episodes, and hilarious post-show discussions. And once you join the $5 and up categories, you get even more cool stuff. A free sticker, a rad enamel pin or fridge magnet while supplies last, virtual events with Katie and me, and we're always looking for new stuff to do for you. So if you can, come join us at patreon.com/truecrimecampfire.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.